Hold up. So, you decided to do some lighting effects when the lightning struck, but didn't bother changing the lighting on the tower when the sky got darker? What? Wow, that sure was a zoom in. Oh my god! That is a digitized man. What the hell have I gotten myself into? So here, you can see the scroll shaking, and only then does Gaspra acknowledge it's there, evidenced by what I'm sure the actor meant to convey as surprise. But is he shocked that there's a scroll here in the first place? Because if he is, where did this scroll come from? Sorry, that cut was just hilarious. This realistic man superimposed on what's obviously a miniature set comprised of separate digitized assets into the steadiest still of a JPEG with what's clearly digital print as opposed to handwritten script is some shit you'd see out of an Adult Swim cartoon. Wait, does that say Ganon with 2 N's again? Did you boot up Zelda 1 once and never bother to check any other source material?
And so it was that Ganon, Lord of Darkness, had taken over Ptolemac.
Ptolemac. I've named things backwards long enough to recognize that that's just Camelot spelled backwards.
He had stolen the treasured celestial signs and captured Link. A brave warrior would have to be found to face this evil monster.
Wait, isn't this just the plot of Wand of Gamelon again?
And so I found this champion of strength and courage. It is you, Princess Zelda.
Ah yes, Princess Zelda, the character that is very specifically not associated with strength, usually called power, or courage. You literally described her with the 2 other pieces of the Triforce that she doesn't represent. I hadn't thought about it before, but Gaspra bestows Zelda with a so-called magic pendant, but we're never told what it is this pendant even does. I assume it's what allows him to communicate with us, but if that's the case, why not just say so?
Another mentor and guide to Zelda is me, Shermac. Throughout the game, I help orient Zelda and guide her.
This is something that's never made sense to me. In this game, we have both Gaspra and Shermac, one being the astronomer who sends us on our quest, and the other being our guide through the land of Ptolemac. What I don't understand is why both of these characters need to exist separately. We only ever see and hear from Gaspra when we collect a celestial sign, and the only thing he ever says is words of congratulation, pointing us vaguely in the direction of where to go next, but given that Shermac is our guide through this place, couldn't she have just done that? In fact, the scroll Gaspra reads at the beginning was sent to him by Shermac, so I really don't understand why Gaspra as a character needs to exist at all. Yeah, the screens we see in this tutorial, complete bullshit. There are no screens in the game that look like this or have the configuration of enemies shown. Some of them can only be found in the shrines we visit and not the overworld.
If Zelda is successful at defeating her enemies, she will be rewarded. They will randomly drop rubies and hearts.
Rupees! God damn, did anyone who worked on the CDI games even play a Zelda game before, or did they just read the manual for the first game? I know that's not true because then you would have known the correct way to spell Ganon.
In Zelda's travels, she will find many locked doors.
Really? This is the example you're going with? Spoiler alert, 2 of these doors are fake. Only the one in the middle actually opens. This screen is inaccurate too. The way the game actually displays the number of keys you hold is with double digits, with a 0 preceding the count if you only have a single digit number. Which is stupid because at literally no point in the game will you ever be holding a double digit number of keys. In fact, I'm pretty sure it's impossible to. Oh my god, this is it. This is the worst map I've ever seen in a video game. Oh my god, are we still in this fucking tutorial? It's been going on for 3 minutes, and there's still 2 to go! I could have beaten half of Sonic Forces by now! You don't need to explain how to navigate a goddamn menu!
If you choose Return to Game, you will arrive at the inventory screen where you press Action button 2.
Dude, okay, a tutorial is meant to teach you the basic mechanics of the main gameplay loop, not be the visual representation of the entire game design document. I think people can infer that when they select Return to the Game, that they will return to the game! bro. Alright. So, true to classic Zelda screen transitions, there's a bit of a delay when moving from one screen to the next, and of course, during that time, you don't have control of your character. But you'll notice that each screen transition takes quite a while. Checking it in my editing software, the time it takes for the screen to fully transition from the frame Zelda sprite disappears to the frame it reappears is a full 4 seconds, which doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, Zelda 1 only takes 1.7 seconds for a screen transition, less than half that time. And when you have a total of 455, yes, I did count them, individual screens for you to visit across Tolamak and its shrines, not counting any buildings you enter, exit, and screens you inevitably have to revisit, transitioning to every screen just once would take 30 minutes and 20 seconds. For reference, once edited down, my total playthrough time for this game was, and I swear to you I'm not kidding, 3 hours and 20 minutes, meaning that 1/6 of my playthrough, including the cutscenes, credits, and the long-ass tutorial, was spent just waiting for the game to take me from one screen to the next.
I am Shermac, your guide.
Hello, Shermac. Question for you, Shermac. Why are you only in my right ear? And why do I only hear wind coming out of my left? During the tutorial, I could hear your voice and music together just fine, so why do they need to be separated into different audio channels in-game?
I am Shermac, your guide. I have known you since you were a child.
Giving Zelda this information is so weird to me because it feels irrelevant. Like, I'm assuming Shermac is saying this because Zelda doesn't know who she is and so is trying to reassure her that she can be trusted, but she could just be lying. Anyone can just say they know me from when I was a kid. That doesn't mean I should immediately trust everything they say.
Go now to the one who has a bed but never sleeps, where by its side the red willow weeps, and to its mouth that never speaks.
This was not the game for them to give you cryptic fucking hints. I can only hear you out of one ear, and the sound quality mixed with the wind and the reverb on your voice don't make it the easiest to understand you. Also, by now, I've probably completely forgotten what you said, and because it wasn't displayed through text, I can't write it down anywhere.
Zelda, Zelda, do not roam unprotected. Look nearby for something to aid you.
I know this is a video game and I'm supposed to figure shit out for myself, but realistically, as my guide who supposedly wants me to be successful on my quest, can't you just tell me where to find what I need instead of vaguely hinting at where I might find it? There's no way you simultaneously know that I'm unarmed, but not know where I can find a weapon, especially not when you're saying that you know one is nearby. Cool. Wait. How have I never noticed this? That says Moblin in. It's not Moblin, it's Moblin. For the sake of fuck, man. You know, for a medium that prides itself on the quality of its audio, there is a distinct lack of sound effects in this game sometimes, and for virtually no reason. And don't think I'm skirting around talking about the visuals. I try not to give games too hard of a time when it comes to their graphics because beauty is typically in the eye of the beholder. Unless it's something that is borderline objectively wrong in terms of design, I'll do my best to refrain from mentioning anything, but we can all agree that this is boring as fuck to look at, right? Ah, the boomerang. The first of many items I will never use in this game. It's not just that they're optional, it's that there's rarely ever a reason to use them over your main weapon. I did not edit that. That is how that sounds in game. If you lose your hearts anywhere on the overworld, you are sent all the way back to the Vision Henge, which is where you start the game, meaning you get to sit through more screen transitions. Yay!
Bless you, princess. You have saved the life of a weary old woman. I offer you these treasures.
It's one treasure that I can't use until much later in the game. Oh yeah, something else stupid that this game does is make you select your rubies in order to buy things. Don't you just love it when video games actively make you get your wallet out just like in real life?
Welcome to the Moblin's Head Inn, my princess.
What the fuck? Why do you guys think it's pronounced like that? It's a portmanteau of the Japanese word for forest, mori, and the word goblin. Just because it's pronounced goburin in Japanese doesn't mean we would pronounce it goblin.
I have a spell.
Why? The music is on one channel and the voice acting is on another. Why do you turn the music off when I talk to this guy? Couldn't you just turn the music down a little? Or make the voices a little louder?
I'm so exhausted from my travels. If only I'd known to cross the chasm rift with the ladder, it would have saved me months.
Months? Plural? How the hell were you trying to cross the chasm before?
You look like an honest maid.
And you sound like Shermack. Did they have like 4 voice actors total in this game? So the way to get the dagger spell, and yes, despite being a physical weapon, it's still considered a spell in this game, is to talk to the guy in red twice, which he'll award you for your patience. Not only did talking to you again not take long at all, why would I ever think to talk to you again after you initially told me to just quit while I was ahead and go home?
Come close, princess. I'll tell you a great secret. Hear me whisper. Trust no one with hair. Don't even trust me. I've stolen one of your lives.
No, but seriously, not only does this happen just one other time way later in the game, making her advice essentially meaningless, why would you instill fear in your players like that? You should want to talk to the NPCs, not constantly worry if talking to them will result in you getting mugged or nearly killed.
Do not come in here. You're not wanted. I am Lord.
I'm sorry, your name is Lort? Troll backwards? Come on, guys, if Ganon didn't already have a name, I'm sure you'd call him Soblanif or something. Dude, this is awesome. I love having foreground elements prevent me from seeing what I'm doing. This is great.
Hey he, who thee be, you're no friend to us down here.
Oh, okay, so Hyrule is just in Wisconsin then.
Oh, what do we have here? A human person's coming close. Why, what a great event.
Okay, so a talking chest that I barely understood just gave me a ring with absolutely no context for what it does, why it gave it to me, or what it's for. I'd really appreciate some guidance, Shermack, not just your be careful and you'll be okay bullshit. Gee, thanks. What does this ring do?
I failed in my mission.
Well, to be fair, you didn't try too hard there, guy. What we just collected are the red boots, which no one bothers to explain to you, but you're somehow supposed to know that these are what let you cross over the shallow water in the overworld that lets you go further north. Not just that, but these are also programmed to work automatically without having to select them every time, which is nice, but why are they the one item that works like that?
I said this is my cave, mine. This is the Shrine of Rock and I am Lord.
Yeah, no, I get it, you're Lord. Did you just say that this is the Shrine of Rock? That's incorrect. This is the Shrine of Earth.
Hey, Lord, watch out! She's coming!
I didn't know Rocky Balboa had a role in this game. Though, to be fair, it was in between Rocky's 5 and Balboa, so he had fallen on hard times.
Congratulations, Zelda. You have prevailed.
Man, it's so painfully obvious that these cutscenes were ADR'd. ADR stands for automated dialogue replacement, and it's something pretty common in movies where they'll have an actor come into a studio and re-record some of their dialogue in a more controlled, quieter environment. They'll usually do this if there was too much background noise or something hit the microphone during the original film shoot. In dire cases, it can also be used to implement any last-minute changes to the script, but you can tell that while what Gaspar is saying lines up with his lip movements, the timing on it is just visibly off. And what's even weirder is that the voice that we hear does not belong to the guy we see. The guy playing Gaspar physically is 23-year-old at the time musician hired as a receptionist then hired as a soundtrack composer turned programmer, Mark Andrade. But the voice we hear is apparently Hal Smith, a prominent actor from back in the day who was most famous for playing Otis in The Andy Griffith Show, and he also voiced a bunch of different characters in cartoons from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. He was Winnie the Pooh and Owl for a while, voiced Goofy for a little bit, and Santa Claus across a bunch of different cartoons over the years, with Zelda's Adventure being his final credit, having been released posthumously. Now, I want to make it clear that the only reason I even know that Hal Smith is doing Gaspar's voice is because Mark Andrade, the guy playing Gaspar on screen, claimed so on a blog from over 10 years ago about a project he had worked on 20 years before that. That being said, Hal Smith isn't in the credits anywhere, but him performing Gaspar's voice would partially explain why the ADR is so bad, I guess. There's only so much you can do to lip sync with a guy that wasn't hired as, nor ever claimed to be, an actor, especially as a young 23-year-old with heaps of prosthetics on. And this is just a hunch, I could be totally wrong about this, but the more cutscenes I see of his, the more I think that the dialogue was recorded first, then the visuals were filmed, which is not ever how you would do that because of how much more complicated that is. In animation, you need to do it that way, but not live action. Something I always thought was odd and was waiting for the right time to comment on was the distinct lack of music in this game. There is some, though most of the game features ambient noise instead, and ironically enough, the reason I'm choosing to bring this up now is because of everything I just learned about the production of this game when doing research for this video and finding Mark Andrade's old blog post. That led me to find an even older interview with the video production manager of the game, Jim Belcher, and something that they both coincided in is that they were surprised that the final product featured way less music than they remember having been in the game originally. And that may have been due to the development team trying to save on memory. You see, even though this came out in 1996, its development started just a year after the Faces of Evil and Wand of Gamelon did. So, as much as I kinda hate to admit it, Viridis Corporation, the company behind this game, was kind of on the cutting edge of digitized graphics in video games because proper video digitization didn't exist yet. They had to use special cameras and special software to get their photos and recordings onto a computer, and then compress all that information for a console that didn't have much RAM to work with in the first place. But what really bit them in the ass was that even though they finished development of the game in 1993, they laid off most of the people working on this game, leaving the build they had in a 2-year testing period at Philips, something that was apparently not just uncommon, but may have been actively detrimental, because resources get allocated elsewhere and new people have to learn how the source code works. The game was apparently supposed to release in November of 93, according to an old Viridis employee on an online forum back in the day, but because of the testing period got delayed, and then delayed again, and was ready to go in March of 95. After which Philips just held onto the game for another year for whatever reason, finally releasing it in the Netherlands and the UK in 1996, and while here in the US we were advertised it was coming, they just kinda silently canceled its release here. Learning all this, I'm a lot more empathetic to what they were trying to do with this game, but at the same time, we can make excuses for it all day. That doesn't change the fact that it seems like this was doomed from the start. The more I learn, the more I see how ambitious they were with this game, but the problem is, even if they had managed to get the graphics just how they wanted, even if there had been enough memory to include all the music made for it, and all the little side functions that had to be scrapped, that doesn't change the fact that the game is slow, the design is boring, TollMac is uninteresting, you hired non-actor employees to portray the characters in it, made the decision to make this a realistic digitized fantasy environment for a console that required you to constantly optimize the code and drop features so it could even run, and to top it off, you can't hide behind the excuse that you only had a year of development time because there were 3 more years where it seems like no one bothered to even play the game they were working on and realize it just wasn't fun. And I'm pretty sure that's the case, because something that seems to be unanimous is that the people who have been interviewed about the game all agree that the final product doesn't resemble what they remember having worked on, so it must have been changed since the time they were involved, meaning it could have been improved. And I'm not blaming any one person for this, or saying that anyone who gave their accounts is lying. I don't think they have any reason to deflect blame for the game's multitude of issues, but I do think this was a problem that came from the top. And I don't even necessarily mean Nintendo. Something that both Jim Belcher and Dale DeSharon, director of the Animation Magic games, seem to agree on is that Nintendo didn't really seem to care. They had to give final approval, sure, but so long as the titles didn't specifically include the words The Legend of Zelda, I think they would have approved anything. They only licensed the characters and their likenesses, but by not having the franchise names attached, they could absolve themselves of any involvement and risk that may have harmed the brand. Not to mention, I don't think Nintendo saw the CDI as an actual competitor to the Super Nintendo, so they probably knew that these games wouldn't reach an audience that would change the cultural perception of Zelda and Mario. I just think it was a bunch of unfortunate internal factors that delayed a game that probably wouldn't have been that great to begin with, to a point that just made the game look worse because of all the technical advancements that had been made in the industry since the game was first developed.
Those mobrons out there are so slow and stupid. They're still trying to eat their soup with a fork.
Okay, I'm just gonna go because I don't know what you are, I don't know what your purpose is, and overall you're just really creepy.
Hello, Zelda. I'm Eric, and this is Ian.
Oh, what do you mean? I'm Eric. I've always been.
No, you're not. I'm Eric.
Cool, good conversation, guys. Really hope you figure that one out.
Hello, Zelda. Welcome to my home. I'm the twins' father, and even I don't know which twin is which. Still, it is good of you to come and visit. My name is Zelda, and you must be the father. No, wait. That can't be true. You just came in. You must be Zelda.
Jesus Christ, can someone say something productive, or at the very least charming, please?
Hello, Zelda. My name is Yvonne. You look like a music lover, too. Music can soothe a savage beast. I believe Shomak has grace due with her friendship. She helped me once, so I am going to help you. Listen to this.
How'd you do that with the flute on the floor?
The flute can be used to calm the savage hiss of a snake.
Once! That's the amount of times you use this item. Mind you, I just found a harp in a cave not too long ago that could have fulfilled its purpose too, or better yet, why bother with this shit? It's not like I run into a whole lot of snakes anyway. Again, just the one time! Wait, so I just played the flute, which summoned a wall of fire, so I could get a weapon that produces more fire? I swear to God, dude.
Far away, one of Ganon's allies lives in a world of water.
What? I can't hear you over the sound of the running water and you not speaking into the fucking microphone!
You can cross any ford in Scotland's river with the red boots.
Wait, did you seriously just tell me that I can cross the river with the red boots when the only way I would have been able to come here is if I crossed the river with the red boots?
The splendid farm is all mine. Isn't it wonderful? I have worked this land for 3
What?!
Far away.
What the f- Okay, so you moved a little to the left after your first line, and now you're repeating what the other guy just said?
For 30 suns, my husband and I ran the great locksmith forge for Warbane. Then Ganon came and pressed Warbane into service for his own evil plans. The forge was closed. Warbane built a fortified retreat of his own, somewhere off in the forests of Kanvula to the north.
Oh my god, I'm so bored. I'm sorry, it's not you. It's just that you're talking about a character that I won't meet until near the end of the game, and a place that I promise you looks exactly like every other forest in this game.
Hi there. Don't worry about the dog, he won't bite. I wish he did bite, then there'd be a little excitement here in Great Wimbish. Nothing ever happens here. When people do come, they're even more boring. Everybody's dull.
Well, you know a game's good when even the characters in it are bitching about being so bored that they wish you'd get attacked by a dog.
I hope I can be of help to you. Did you see my dog out on Upper Street? How did he smell?
With his nose, of course.
Well, I didn't get a good whiff of him, but I'll tell you this much. He smells funnier than any of the words that leave your god-abandoned mouth.
Oh, that was smart. Come again, little one. Come again.
I forgot about this. That jingle plays sometimes, and I think it's meant to denote when a character stops talking, but it only plays for certain characters, and I don't get why.
Is a shrine a thing to be taken lightly? No, and a candle is needed to light a shrine. We may joke to pass the time, princess.
That was a joke? I'm sorry, did this dog just give me an axe? Where was it keeping it? And do I really need all these weapons? So far I've only used the wand and the jade ring, and that's kinda more than you need, really.
At last, Madame Krigal is approached by an innocent who wishes to grow in the use of magic and spells.
Great! More weapons! And by the way, you wouldn't know this until much later, but the turquoise ring is actually required to beat certain enemies in a later shrine, so I'm glad it's bunched up with 2 other optional, costly, and honestly not super useful pieces of jewelry.
Who goes there? Oh, it's a young girl. Don't touch anything. People steal me blind. I know you all hate me. What did I ever do to any of you? I give an honest bark and I grind your corn.
Sorry, I'm really empathetic to your plight, but would you mind turning that shit off? I can barely hear you, and it's just really annoying in my left ear.
Be careful if you go inside, milady. Some people in these parts would rob you, same as look at you, they would.
I don't know what the hell this guy's talking about, because you can go inside just fine, and no one does anything to you.
I need to make more bumbleberry tea, that's for certain. What? Oh, I'm sorry, but the lodge is full. You are welcome to rest here before you head out into the forest of Tarian.
But you said the lodge is full. So where would I even rest? I mean, shit, man, you don't even have a chair.
I would like to give you a feather as a sign of my affection.
Affection. So that awkward as hell sound effect plays whenever you find a puddle where you get your hearts refilled by Ratchety Ann over here.
Hail, Princess Zelda, friend of Shermac. I am Sir Basil of Tolamac, and Shermac has sent me to assist you.
You seem tired now, Zelda. Leave off the contest and come back another day.
This line has always confused me because I have no idea what she's talking about. The contest? come back another day? It turns out that the line is in reference to an entire scrapped sequence where you would have practiced using the broadsword you just received with Sir Basil acting as a sparring partner. I'm guessing Shermack's line would then play after you decide to finish practicing, but in the final game, the line just makes no sense. I happen to think that Maribel's singing is quite lovely, but I'm confused as to why he has a lute and isn't playing it while he sings. Isn't that what a bard does?
Greetings. I am Lonlin, and I am a farmer. I have heard of you and your quest. I am a man of little wealth, but all that I have I give you.
Dude, I'm a princess. That's very kind of you, but by your own admission, you don't have much, so why would you give it all to someone who was born with a proverbial silver spoon in her mouth? Also, I always found it strange that Lonlin appears out of nowhere after you get the noise spell from Gwynla and come back, and again, that seems to have to do with their appearances being changed at some point, because you were supposed to get the rubies from Lonlin first, and then speak to Gwynla after the fact, evidenced by her line being trimmed down. Originally, she was supposed to say she has something else for you, but they cut out the else part. And if I hadn't heard the original intact line, I genuinely don't think I would have noticed. They probably did this because they realized her line wouldn't make sense if you spoke to her first, but there's no reason they couldn't have just changed the line and kept both characters on screen together.
What foolish human comes this way? She who tarries here never leaves. Genie!
Your ghost dog is named after the ghosts from this series, right? That's pronounced Geenie. Oh god, I take it back, this game doesn't need music, ambient noise was fine. Does that mirror not properly reflect? Or is Zelda a vampire? In this room, where would you reckon I need to go? Not the bottom, that's where I came from. If you thought this little slit to the right that's lit to look like a wall, you'd be right. So, fun fact, that's a Poll's voice. Yep, those cute little rabbit-like ghosts got translated into this demonic monstrosity. And I hope you picked up the noise spell from Gwynla before you came here, because otherwise you'll need to hit this thing with your wand 280 times. This fucking room. The collision on the disappearing floor is absolute trash, and if you fall into the pit, you have to start the shrine all over again. Any enemies you defeated remain so, but still. That dagger spell we got like 1 billion years ago? Yup, that's the only thing these guys are weak to in this game. Oh, great! I gotta slip past 2 Wizrubs shooting shit at me while on narrow platforms that result in me starting the shrine over if I fall. And when I said slip past, the pun wasn't intended, but very much accurate, because the floor has ice physics in this room. You get a knife in this room, which is idiotic because I already have like 3 other weapons that could do this and never use the knife again after this, but you use it to cut open a way to the next room. If you leave and come back, though, you need to cut open the way again. I'm guessing they just didn't expect you to turn around at this point? Recently, I've started putting together guides that help me play the games that I record in the most complete and efficient way possible, but it's not like I write down every single irrelevant detail. Earlier, when I mentioned how many screens this game has, that was the result of me looking up a map to figure that out for the sake of mentioning it in the script. The map of Ptolemaic I found featured not just every screen, but all the different items and where to find them, and that's how I found out that, even though I'd written my own guide, so I have no idea how I failed to realize this, the game only has a total of 2 keys to collect, and both of them are found in the shrine. No, I'm not kidding. So not only was the tutorial listing 4 keys impossible, probably another remnant from something that was changed during development, listing double digits for the keys makes even less sense now. Oh, dude, are you kidding me? You couldn't adjust Gaspar's hand so it wouldn't get cut off here? No zooming in, no shifting to the side, not even an attempt to hide it? Crone the Pegleg is the only NPC in this game that doesn't really ever make a sound. The ones that happen to be sleeping at least have an audible snoring sound effect when you find them, but Crone is clearly standing. It's possible he's just mute, and that's fine, but doesn't really ever go explained as such, so for a merchant to just not talk in a game where there's an already unsettling atmosphere due to the visuals and lack of music, that just makes this even creepier. Especially because he only shows up here if you don't have a life potion in your inventory, and no other merchant just goes away when they're sold out. You gotta pay this guy each time you come through here, which is more realistic than any of the graphics in this game, but also a total drag. I'll give them this. I can tell they attempted to have these characters have some world-building dialogue. I've never experienced a game that has so many otherwise interesting little tidbits relating to the characters and their relationships to each other that is just so unfathomably boring. And I think the reason for it is because it doesn't amount to anything. Like, okay, Shermack and Gaspar have a semblance of animosity between them described as envy. While there's a part of me that's interested to learn more about that and why that might be, that all falls apart when that statement is immaterial. If it has no impact on any part of the story, to the point where the characters only ever mention each other in passing, and their dialogue doesn't suggest they feel any sort of way about each other, what's the point in even saying so? I'll admit, it makes the world feel a tiny bit bigger, sure, but another issue I take with it is precisely what I mentioned earlier. I already don't understand why these two characters exist in tandem when functionally they feel like they serve a similar, if not the same, purpose. And yet another issue I have with this bit of dialogue specifically is that the character mentions that there is some envy between them, but that it's a small thing. So small, apparently, that we never find out what that envy is, so not only does it seem dismissive of the fact that there's tension between the characters, again, since that matters so little to the story to the point that we're never shown, only told, why even have this as a factor in their relationship? Petty squabbles can work if they do end up having an effect on the story, no matter how indirect, but again, because we never see the characters interact at all, it doesn't matter anyway.
The Dome House is the home of our philosopher, Serum View, whose logic is not always easy to follow.
This bit of dialogue pisses me off so much because I genuinely think that, much like the twins and their dad, they probably thought that this bit was hilarious. So, the philosopher Serum View lives here, and the hooded woman we just spoke to says that his logic is not always easy to follow. But not only is it easy to follow, it's some of the most all toasters toast shit I've ever heard. Like, the first thing he says to you when you walk in is,
"You are now in the presence of one whose feet have often touched the earth and whose eyes have seen what they have seen."
Like, cool, asshole, way to say that you can stand and see things. And the only other thing he says is,
"Beware of all those beings who can harm thee, for they are dangerous, but be a friend of all who are true friends, for they may aid thee."
So, your advice is to be careful with people who are bad because they're dangerous, and to be friends with friendly people because they'll help me. Impeccable fucking logic, Serum View. You're dropping epiphanies that 2-year-olds figured out on their previous birthday. Bravo! Oh, also, circling back to that hooded woman, next to her is the item called the Golden Boots. And apparently these allow you to enter the dome where Serum View lives? I was about to say that they don't do anything since... why would I assume that you would need an additional item to enter a hut without a door? No one tells you that this is what they do, and you can't make it to Serum View's hut without coming into contact with the item anyway, so why does this item even exist? That's like putting a key right in front of the door it unlocks. You might as well have just left the door open if I can't even get to it without collecting the key. So, again, no one bothers mentioning anything. Seriously, why have voice-acted dialogue if you're not going to take advantage of it? But this item is the repellent, which the manual says scares away the swamp Zola. Zola? Come on, guys, were you only sent the manual for the original Zelda to reference the names in this series? Anyway, the thing is, this is completely useless unless you're coming here into the Barakno Marsh from the Seacoast Plain in the east. Because if you're going through this game the way I'm sure they intended you to, this would be the last place here in Vendos that you visit, and Swamp Zola are only found here in the Forest of Albon, so you won't run into any for the rest of the game anyway. Also, if that sentence made no sense to you, it's probably because I called this place by 3 separate names, and the reason for that is because the game calls this place 3 separate things. The sign pointing this way from the Great Dry Canyon calls it the Forest of Albon, whereas the sign pointing here from the Seacoast Plain calls it Vendos. The hooded woman we spoke to earlier, however, calls it the Barakno Marsh, and while different areas in a single place can be called different things, usually in video games, unless there are clear ways to distinguish them, you'll want to refer to areas that share a theme, such as a swamp and a marsh, by the same thing. And spoiler alert, everything here looks the damn same, so I don't know where any of those start and the others begin, if they even do.
What do you want with me? Cannot someone other worthy help you? Even if I do help you, you cannot for a moment believe you shall defeat the mighty Ganon, do you?
Do you want to get a clean take of that one, dude? I've never heard a line be performed like it was so clearly being read off a script, and yet somehow like you had no idea what it was you were about to say.
I am called Mintal, and I know who you are. Do you not grow bored with your quest? I certainly would.
Yeah, dude, but Nintendo licensed out Zelda, so whether I like it or not, and I don't, I need to play through this one too. Also, did they just not want us to like any of these NPCs? I made the joke that I personally am getting bored of this quest, but why would Zelda or anyone taking on a quest such as this be bored of their quest? Like, can you imagine? Yeah, I mean, I was on my way to stop the devil in his bringing of the apocalypse upon the land I govern, but it was boring as fuck, so I pivoted to starting a podcast instead, much more engaging.
You again? I suppose you want rubies, or information, or directions to a shrine or whatnot. Really, it is all too dull.
That's it. I think I found the NPC I hate the most. Giving me rubies or information or directions cannot possibly be boring! You may not want to do so because you're an asshole, but it's definitely not because it's boring!
Something you seek is not of this world, but above it. Defeat the woman of the air. It is to the east you must go.
You know, I can't help but laugh because sometimes you'll get NPCs like this guy that starts off with a sort of riddle which ends up becoming meaningless because he kind of just gives you the solution anyway. And, like, much appreciated, I'd rather that than a cryptic riddle, but at that point, why bother with the riddle in the first place? Wait, North Gubasha Desert? Why does this sign look like it used to have another letter there? All the letters for the word desert are there. Did the person who made the sprite accidentally write North Gubasha Desert, realize their mistake, and then instead of just readjusting the text, decided to add a crack to the sign to make it look worn?
Come in, sit with me, warm yourself by the fire. I know it can get colder than Ganon's heart up here, but I've endured worse. Once, when I was in the forest of Torian, it was the forest of Canvula. No, it cannot be true, for Canvula wood is always hot. And I did say it was cold, right? Well, then it was the forest of Torian.
Okay. So, did you have a story associated with that, or... Actually, I can answer that, because of the many, and I do mean many, cut lines from this game, Bitterbeck has two. One is just what the manager at your job says to you, even though she knows you don't like small talk, but you have to grin and bear it because Christmas is coming up and you really need that bonus because you're like 3 months behind on your rent, and I can't imagine Clyde's gonna be in the holiday spirit if you go for a fourth. And the other is just more of the goddamn same. He never gets to the point and somehow actually regresses in what he was saying because he thought starting over would help.
I know you have come far, but I have nothing to give you.
Okay, so I'm out. Channel over. It's been a good run. Almost made it to 20 years on this platform, but yeah, I think I just hate video games now. Stay safe and the whatever thing I say. I walked all this way past 5 screens of nothing happening on top of the 5 screen transitions it takes to get here just for you to tell me that I wasted my time? You have a cut line of dialogue where you would have given me something for coming all this way, as if this fucking game needed more shit for me to hoard in my Trader Joe's insulated bag of a backpack, and I don't know what it would have been. It could have been fuck all for all I give a shit, but it would have been better than this! You held on to releasing this game for literal years after it was finished, and you couldn't give this character any measly fucking thing to give to the player? Stop wasting my goddamn time! Oh. The giant purple bird is what takes me to the shrine and isn't an enemy I needed to defeat. Cool. The screen went dark, so I just thought it killed Zelda and I was free from this hell. Did the fucking tornado just adult Roblox oof at me when I hit it with my magic? I'm sorry, what was that collision? Tell me how on earth this isn't where I'm supposed to go, but this is. Cool. What? How is that not where I'm supposed to go? So this is a Vapora, which the game considers a mini-boss, which is kind of weird because I already encountered a different Vapora earlier that I could just ignore, and unlike this one, it didn't talk to me, so I wouldn't have thought this enemy was special at all. What you get for defeating the second Vapora, though, is a rug item, which is meant to improve your traction on floors with ice physics, which sounds nice, right? Until you realize that unlike items such as the boots, the rug doesn't work automatically. You have to have it actively selected, meaning you have to choose between being able to walk normally or fight because you can't have both.
Now we're on our way, bounding along in the blue. Oh, it's for us, the Isle of Mystery. A boatman's life is a life of the free.
Oh, yeah! So I was super confused when this happened because I knew for a fact that that's not the line that plays here. And that would be bad enough, right? A line of dialogue playing somewhere else in the game that it's not supposed to, but I couldn't for the life of me remember where this was supposed to play. The voice says a boatman's life is a life of the free, meaning it belongs to one of the two boatmen in this game, but as far as I remember, their only lines have to do with telling you to pay them to take their boats, and this one sounds like he's traveling with you. In fact, I couldn't make out most of what he says in the song, but he mentions the Isle of Mystery, meaning this line belongs to Faust, the boatman from the swamp. And as it turns out, I didn't recognize this line as his because this is an unused line of dialogue, meaning that not only was it not supposed to play here, it wasn't supposed to play at all in the final game. But the line that's supposed to play here isn't much better. See, the boss of this place, Aviana, usually says,
"Here are some feathered friends for you to play with."
Which is wrong because the enemies we fight on this screen, the Voltas, are very clearly featherless birds. Oops. Speaking of Aviana, something that you would only know if you read the manual first is that she's the first boss that has a specific weakness, rendering any other item useless against her, which is the feather we received from Waldensopp, the guy that warned us about getting robbed in that inn that we didn't get robbed in, where we were told to rest for a bit even though they had no room for us. But again, you're never told in-game that this feather has a specific use, in part because it can just be used as a regular spread shot weapon, but also because no one tells you in-game that the feather belongs to Aviana. And speaking of the fight with her, one of the most frustrating things that happens in this game sometimes is that you'll try to hit an enemy with a weapon or a spell that they're weak to, but because more often than not, those weapons and spells come out as projectiles, they emerge from Zelda swinging her wand, and if you happen to hit the enemy with a pixel of the wand before they're hit with the projectile, they won't take damage and enter a cooldown period before you can try to hit them again. And while annoying, this normally wouldn't be that big of a deal, but I bring it up here specifically because the boss I'm fighting is already so big and the arena is so small, not to mention she moves around so much that it's difficult to not hit her with the wand before the feathers. Of all the things I've complained about in this video, would you believe me if I told you that the last thing I would have thought to bitch about was this game having a pretty bad pacing issue? Like, yeah, it shouldn't be surprising, I guess, but I feel like you kind of expect this game to at least be somewhat formulaic, having a sort of consistent pattern of go to place, talk to people, collect the things, fight some enemies, do a shrine. But especially here, you notice just how much of the talking to the NPCs and collecting things we do early on. Because there's quite a bit to do in between the first two shrines, whereas there's only a few places to visit in between shrines 2 and 3. Right after the third one though, I'm heading straight to the fourth one immediately because it's just to the west of here, and I don't know if they knew that players would figure that out. It's just so strange that you can do these two shrines basically back to back, especially when all the shrines after this have you crossing at least 2 new locations in between each. The Shrine of Destiny has this stupid-ass maze surrounded by pits that restart the shrine, and it would be one thing if I just had to find my way around, because at least then, if I fell off, it would completely be my fault, but they have you fight a bunch of enemies on the way, and it's not like getting to this part was a breeze, especially because of all the screen transitions.
So you found Malmort's home at last? Now touch your wand to the stone on the right.
I don't understand why Malmort tells us to put our wand to the stone on the right, because that doesn't do anything. We just have to fight him the way we fought most of the bosses up to this point. Also, I love how whenever Malmort speaks, they just cut the music entirely. They did that with Pasquinade too, and I think the reason for it is because they have so much reverb applied to their voices that it's already hard to understand them, so having music on top of that would have made it impossible. But just, like, don't add the reverb then, or tone it down, or turn the music down. So, for any of the rooms where we collect the celestial signs, there are always 3 ways to exit. By going back through the door you entered from, duh. By collecting the celestial sign and being transported to outside the shrine to continue your quest, double duh. And by returning to the start of the shrine by using the harp we found during the early game. The thing is, the room where we collect the Sign of Destiny only has 2 ways of exiting, because you apparently can't exit through the door you come in from. Despite having a graphic that shows us entering from the west and spawning us there, I've read that the game is instead coded to have you exit from the north, which is inaccessible. My guess is that this is a remnant from an earlier build that never got fixed because, well, once you're in here, why would you ever think to go back the way you came instead of just finishing the shrine? I just realized something. Whenever Gasper is supposedly talking to Zelda, he's looking at the camera despite being able to see Zelda through the crystal on his desk. If that's how he can see her and know where she is on her quest, why would he look at us, the player? Another tiny thing I've neglected to mention until now, mostly because I forgot about it for reasons that'll make sense in a bit, is that on top of gaining a heart each time you complete a shrine, you are also getting stronger, dealing more damage to enemies and being able to take more hits as well. The problem with this is that not only are these buffs so minuscule that you probably wouldn't notice right away, but whenever you finish a shrine and move on to the next area you have to go to, you'll likely only be encountering enemies that are exclusive to that area, which are themselves stronger than the ones you fought before, so there's really no good sense that these buffs are even happening. I'm sure it would be more obvious if there were more enemies from earlier on in the game that just so happened to populate later areas too, so you could get a better sense of how Zelda's growing beyond just her health points. Now that I think about it, they probably meant to imply that this guy is passed out because he was beaten by the surrounding enemies, but they give him a snoring sound effect, which is kind of hilarious because, my guy, there are moblins afoot! I hardly think this is the time to be napping!
Hello, Zelda.
Oh, Shermac! I haven't heard from you since I entered the second shrine, and I'm on my way to the fifth! What the hell happened to you? You have unused dialogue for both Shrines 3 and 4, so I have no idea why they went unused.
You already know about magic and you have been doing well, so there's nothing more I can do at the moment.
Nothing more you can do? What exactly have you done for me thus far? The only things I can really think about is that you sent Gasper the letter about Ganon having taken over, which, okay, you seem to just be hanging out in a room in the mountains. Gasper at least was the one to recruit me and tell me where I need to go after each shrine. You told Madame Kriggle I was coming, which, okay, but I mean, she's a merchant I would have bought stuff from anyway. I don't think her knowing I was coming made much of a difference. And you sent Sir Basil to bring me the broadsword, which is not only more attributable to his actions, but I still have had no use for it and won't until the shrine after the one I'm currently heading to. At most, the only thing you've done is speak to me and encourage me sometimes, but all your advice simply amounts to, be careful, girl.
Imsuri, little one, you look weary.
Huh? Sorry, I zonked out and I thought I had a stroke for a second. I can already barely understand what some of these characters are saying due to the audio quality, subpar acting, and lack of subtitles, but now you're going to have them speak gibberish on top of all that? This is something else I didn't think I'd be talking about today. The sea eagles have always felt off to me, and I knew it was because of their palette looking like a recolor of another enemy, but then it hit me. The areas on its body that should be dark are light, and vice versa. I've been doing this long enough to recognize when something just has its colors inverted, so I went ahead and inverted the footage and realized that these things are just copies of the Rom Ravens we just fought in the Gubasha Desert. Oh, but don't worry, they made sure to keep their eyes red, just like the Rom Ravens do. There's being resourceful and there's being lazy, and you're telling me you could invert the colors on this thing but not just change the hue? It might have looked more obvious, but it wouldn't look as terrible.
We're too busy to help you now, miss. Find another seafarer.
Oh yeah, real busy when all you're doing is talking to this other guy. So this guy on the right explains that the reason a lot of the locals seem to be slurring their words and making little sense around here is because their minds have been warped from being out at sea for too long. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys are no less helpful than most of the people I've met up to this point. The only difference is that you speak gibberish instead of saying comprehensible stupid shit and say Imsuri sometimes, but I thought that was just a regional verbal tick, like you guys are the Canada of Ptolemaic. Wow, what a fierce battle. Truly one of the most iconic moments in Zelda's adventure for the Philips CDI, developed by Viridis Corporation, presented in stereo.
A strong...
Oh, hey, Shermac! Yeah, I bet you're talking to me again after I found your retreat and called you out for not speaking to me for 2 whole dungeons.
I am the North Kelpie, guardian of the whirlpool that lies beyond.
The North Kelpie? But the last one we fought said they were the South Kelpie, and you're further south than they were. Maybe this is the North Kelpie because the map is upside down and the further down it we go, we're actually going north? Well, I'd believe that, if not for the final Kelpie we encounter, the East Kelpie actually being in the east. Did they mess up where these lines were supposed to play?
I know you've come to steal the water of life.
Steal the water of life? What are you talking about? I can just buy more from the merchants around Ptolemaic. I'm just here to H2O your ass. Talk about dihydrogen monoxide, am I right? Okay. These are meant to be turtles, but they're just doing that for some reason.
I'm the East Kelpie. I bar the way to my mistress, the wonderful Aguanda.
Okay, bye!
You think you have beaten me, but water takes many shapes.
Technically, water can take any shape depending on where it's contained.
You have overcome great trials, but evil still looms over Ptolemaic, Zelda. Stay true to your journey, for it will bring you closer to young Link, who lies captive to Ganon. I hear tell of a vast fortress of strength and power. Go forward bravely, and you will be victorious.
Where? You usually at least point me in the direction I need to go, but now it's just, oh, well, there's a fortress somewhere you haven't been. I don't know.
Not everyone here is so ill of temper. Take this as a token of welcome.
Thank you for yet another weapon, Alamau. Jesus, did I just date myself by referencing Alamau?
Can't you see I'm a busy goblin?
I can't see you at all, sir.
What you seek is far away to the east.
How do you know that? Did I tell you I was looking for something I don't even know the specifics on to know how to ask what I'm looking for?
Hail, Zelda. We have heard much of you.
I would hope so. I am the princess, after all.
Ah, Zelda. It's me, Sir Basil. You fared well so far on your difficult journey. You will shortly be meeting Ursor. Use well your knowledge of the broadsword.
What knowledge? I literally haven't used it since you gave it to me!
Physical strength is the next test for you, Zelda. Prepare for the dangerous series of contests just ahead.
See? Like, not that any of the other things she said at the beginning of a shrine have been particularly useful, but how is that guidance of any kind?
Come over here, princess. I have things of beauty to please your eye. The red ribbon costs 50 rubies, but it has a history beyond price. Come again, you deserve many objects of beauty.
You'll notice that the guy only mentioned the red ribbons effect specifically, and that's because it's the only item he sells that does anything. Yep, you can buy the other two things, but they don't do a damn thing other than make you scroll your inventory longer.
Hello, young one. You look like a friendly face. It's been many a year since I've sat down with a young woman like you to talk over my troubles. My children have all moved on to other areas of Hyrule, and I don't get to see them very much at all. Did you know that Morgan has been seeing the maid Vanity? I don't think it's at all suitable. Am I boring you? No matter. You look like you don't have much to do.
Clearly I must not if I'm wasting my time playing this game.
Have a good day, and watch out for the Tektites.
There are no Tektites in the Shrine of Strength.
It's wise of you to halt a spell with me, young one. I know a little of what lies concealed in the realm of combat. You must gain skill in every weapon before meeting the mighty Ursor.
What he means is you have to use every weapon at some point, which is not only not true, but again, you don't gain skill with any of them, since none is required to use them. You have them, you use them, you hope you hit an enemy. That's it. There's no special technique to any of them. Dude, what the f***? Everyone here is telling me I have to master the weapons I already have, and now you're giving me a new one? Which, spoiler alert, is the one you'll want to use against the boss of this shrine. It's not the only thing that can hurt him, but it's the thing he's most weak to. So I don't know what the hell happened here, because I was just trying to buy this ticket to move on in the shrine, but no matter where I tried using the rubies, I'd get this error sound. I left, came back, and learned that I may have just been doing it in the wrong spot, which typically I would take the blame for, but looking at it, I should have been able to collect it from here, right?
Dare you ride in the joust against the Red Knight? You are so young. But take up the lance if you will.
Wait, so if I had come here without the lance that I get from the Alamau, which is practically on the other side of Tolamak, I'd need to leave and go all the way over there again? It's not that big a deal, because I can exit the shrine easily with the harp and warp to a different one with its respective compass, but how would I know where to find the lance in the first place? I get that I found most of these things from just exploring, but that's one that I feel like I especially have to go out of my way to get when I have no way of knowing it's there.
Hold tight, little enemy. You have something stolen from me, and I am strong.
So what the Red Knight is referring to here is the red ribbon we bought earlier. Without it, he wouldn't show up. The worst part is, there's no way you would know that. Yeah, the merchant drops the hint that you should buy the ribbon, but how would anyone put 2 and K together? Also, how does he know that I have it now? Am I wearing it? It's not my active item, so I doubt I have it anywhere that's visible, and I'm pretty sure he wasn't there when I bought it. Shouldn't he be more pissed at the merchant that sold it to me?
20 rubies! Get your ticket here! Just take a step through turnstile to the east.
That's not a turnstile. Those are spikes. One simply blocks my way, the other could impale me.
A thin waif like thee? Ha! Can you even lift a broadsword?
Not only can I lift a broadsword, I'm actively chucking one at you.
So we meet at last. You are small and weak. You're no more than a bite for a warrior such as me.
I don't know, man. You're honestly one of the easier bosses in this game. You take more hits to defeat and deal a lot of damage, but your pattern makes it super easy to avoid you, and your size makes it easy to hit you, especially with a big-ass ranged weapon like the roar stick is.
Congratulations on finding such a fine piece of coal. After Wimbish passes my commission.
Dude, I asked you to turn that thing off hours ago! I cannot hear you!
Radical, dude. Totally.
Totally. Also, what? So, for those of you that are curious, because I know I was and happened to learn while doing unrelated research for this video, that bodacious fella was the protagonist of what would have been Viridis' next game, Food Dude, a game where you skate around and collect food that's generally considered good for you, while avoiding junk food and other unhealthy items that summon monsters that chase after you if you do collect them. Unfortunately, due to downsizing and I'm assuming the performance of their games, Viridis Corporation left it and a bunch of other games as announced, but unreleased, and I just think it's such a sad testament to have an Easter egg to a game that never released in a game that sat in limbo for 2 years, which released a year before the company dissolved. Oh, I had to go further to the right. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Be gone! I, blacksmith, have my work to do. No time for intruders.
Ow! Okay, I was leaving. You could have just gone back to work. I wasn't gonna bother you none. If I were to ask you where you think I need to go to advance here, where would you think? Because if your answer is this hole over here, you're right, but why that hole and not this one? Or even somewhere up here? You're telling me that you think this leads somewhere and isn't just some random alcove like the rest of the holes are?
Further you will not go. You have not the fire in the belly to do else but obey me.
Cool. Thanks for telling me I won't go any further and proceed to give me another fucking weapon! Also, spoiler alert, this is the weapon that deals the most damage to the final boss, so that's cool. Again, not the item I need for the fight, just the thing that makes the fight easier. Just drop by the next to last guy. I didn't even do anything, it's just here now. What is it with CDI games where Zelda's the protagonist and fighting a boss that reminds me of Fat Albert? Right before facing Warbane, you'll find the character Maxis, and truly, I have zero clue how you're supposed to know what to do here, beyond just literally trying everything in your inventory, because there's absolutely no indication or hint of what you need to use or why. Early on in the Shrine of Strength, we helped a thirsty child get water from a well, and they gave us a gold necklace, and the only way that I can even think you'd know what to do here is because the manual mentions it was once owned by a knight and was stolen by a child. But how would I infer that this is the only thing I can use to defeat this random dude in the final shrine? Maxis doesn't say anything to you, you just fight him. If anything, I would have thought that the description of the item was referring to the knights we fought in the last shrine, especially because that's where we got the necklace, and particularly because the Red Knight explicitly mentions that you have something that once belonged to him. Why would I understand that to be the ribbon and not the necklace?
The sign is rightly my own. No slip of a girl can take it from me.
No, your eyes do not deceive you. I literally just clipped into the sign room and skipped the fight with Warbane. I remember finding out I could do this in real time when I was reading from a guide someone else wrote and thought to myself, surely it isn't that easy. No, it is. I have never legitimately fought that version of the boss. What? Why am I falling into the starting point in the Vision Henge? And let me break down that question. A, where am I falling from? B, why am I falling at all? C, why are we back at the Vision Henge and not outside the Shrine of Fire? And D, why am I falling into the starting point? Why is that open now? So the final challenge leading up to the final boss is a boss rush known as Ganon's Gauntlet, and after you defeat almost each boss again, this little horn thing starts chasing you around for a few seconds, and it's really easy to avoid, so I'm not entirely sure what the point is. Well shit, Malmor didn't even get a chance to move. I figured fighting the embodiment of death itself would be a bit more complicated than that. Wait, Warbane? Lord Pasquinat Aviana Malmor Dagwanda. Where's Ursor? I get to fight all the bosses again except for the bear? Not that I'm complaining, that's less for me to do, I just don't really get why. That's not Ganon. That's the answer to the question, what if Mortal Kombat Shao Kahn and Goro had an ugly-ass Shokan baby? Are you- I'm sorry, real quick, because it's gonna bug the shit out of me that I just realized this. Is your main method of attack the same as Dr. Robotnik's Egg Crusher from the first Sonic game? Wait, there are cows in Tolamak? Did Ganon kidnap them too? Why would there suddenly be a cow here? Damn, I can't believe that after all these years, they're still using the same model and design for Link's Spirit Halloween costume. Jesus, could they have held that last note a little longer? Really emphasizes how Link has one frame of animation in this entire game. That's not even really an animation, is it? There's an image of Link in this game. Ah!
Princess Zelda, you've succeeded. Your victory has brought peace and light back to Tolamac. Your courage and strength will not be forgotten. For now, your work is done. Off you go to celebrate Link's return. But first, remember, lessons of the heart, mercy and human kindness prevail above all else.
What? Huh? Can I even hear you at this point? And sorry, that wasn't even my main thing. That line is written so awkwardly. Go celebrate, but first remember? This is going to sound incredibly pedantic even for me, but that dialogue just doesn't sound right. Saying "but first" implies that there's another action you want me to do before going to celebrate, which technically would be the remembering part. But if I'm meant to remember something, wouldn't you want me to remember that indefinitely? Meaning that there's no sense of priority, so I wouldn't have to do it first? You see what I'm saying? If they had just gotten rid of the word "first," I don't think it would be as bad. Oh, god damn it, I still have to sit through the credits. Oh, fuck you, the beings in Foca Tolamac. Don't do that, you didn't earn that. Oh yeah? Duplication of this software is illegal? Well, how about you give me the cool $3,000 this game cost in the year of our Lord 2025? You're gonna look me in the eye and tell me that if the year we're currently in was US dollars, this game costs approximately $975 more than that? Or you know what? I'll do you one better. I'll buy 2 of these shits. In fact, I'll buy 2 of all the Zelda CDI games. It. I'll buy 3 of the other 2. How's that? Except, no I won't, because I'd have to sell my house and a couple of organs to do that. Armed with only the advice of the wise court astronomer Gaspra and the guidance of Shermac... Huh? Why is the name Shermac not capitalized? The manual does something that I think is kind of funny in that it describes certain items such as the life potion and repellent in a parenthesis so that you know what it looks like, but... Guys, you put a graphic right next to the description. We can see what it looks like. So, I failed to bring this up earlier because I kind of forgot, so I'll do it now. The magic shield is one of the first items you can purchase in this game, and man, it is useless! I can't recall a single time I used it because, again, I'd have to equip it and not be able to use a weapon, which I'm going to need to eventually. I think you have to stop moving for it to work too, which would just make playing this game even more insufferable. What the f***? You called them the correct thing in the manual? I'm done, I can't with you anymore. Hammer. This weapon is capable of smashing enemies with flying hammers. Yes, this floor seems to be made out of floor. Jade Amulet. This is one of the most powerful weapons. Cool. What does it do? Joust? But the game calls it the lance. In fact, the description says it throws lances. Although, it also says that this weapon, similar to the broadsword, throws lances at enemies when the broadsword doesn't throw lances at enemies, it throws broadswords. I know what you mean, you worded it incorrectly. At first glance, the Firestorm, Pyros, and Rings of Fire spells all seem to do the same thing, and as far as I'm concerned, they do. Turquoise Ring, a powerful all-purpose weapon. Wow, you guys are just on a fucking roll with these descriptions, man. Zelda's adventure is long and challenging. Tolamac is a large region, and the shrines make it seem even larger and more difficult. Zelda encounters many obstacles that impede her progress, but as she learns to use her weapons and bond skillfully, she succeeds. She learns to understand when characters are giving her good advice or when they're trying to trick her. Ultimately, Zelda will be victorious and good will conquer evil. Dude, spoilers? Why would I want to play the game now? I already know what happens in it.
Zelda. Zelda.
Hey everyone, Charai5 here. Thanks so much for watching my CINEMASINS pastiche of everything wrong with Zelda's adventure. This was definitely a rough one, and hopefully it's about as bad as it gets for this series. I will say, as much as I knew I'd have stuff to talk about, I didn't expect this one to run for as long as it did. I really felt compelled to go in depth about the behind-the-scenes aspects, mostly because there was so much available context for such a niche game that really puts the final product into perspective. And it's so easy to just be like, well, look at it, of course it's bad. With particularly bad games especially, I feel like it's important to be as explicit as possible about why it doesn't work, rather than defaulting to simply taking jabs at it. Making fun of bad things is easy, but explaining why it's bad or how it could have been better, I think lends credence to what's being said about it, and can help us identify when other stories and games have similar flaws. Question of the video: what's something about this game that you like? I want to put a bit of a positive spin on this one, especially because I feel like it's important to give a game credit where credit is due. People often talk about a game's potential and a lot of hypotheticals when it comes to bad games. If it had just had this, it would have been good. If they had just done that, it would have saved the game. And for me, I think that's especially true with Zelda's Adventure. At its core, I don't think it's a terribly designed game. I think there's a lot of stuff here that would make for a great traditional top-down Zelda game, and most of its flaws are either aesthetic or technical. Like, if it had been more stylized, featured more music, and loaded more quickly, I think its biggest flaws would be that there are too many redundant items to collect and the characters are annoying. I think even the voice acting would be a minor inconvenience at that point. But as a game, it really could have been much worse. On screen, you are seeing the names of the wonderful patrons and channel members who decide to contribute monthly to this channel, and if you'd like to see your name and profile picture alongside theirs, you can do so by following the link in the description or by hitting the join button underneath this video. But of course, free things such as liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing the video with someone you think might enjoy it also help out a ton. Thank you again so much for watching, and until next time, stay safe and stay awesome. This is Charai5, signing off.